I ran my car into a bridge. I don't care. I love it. Iconic pop. All right, all you naysayers and you ne'er do wells. I have been challenged. I have been challenged to make one of my subscribers a believer in my guesstimations in saying that sports are fixed. And Sanchez is like, make a believer out of me. Tell me who's going to win the World Series. I'm like, dude, I don't know nothing about the World Series. He was like, you don't know nothing about basketball either. I'm like, okay, since you want to go there, Broham. Uh, so let me tell you, let me, all right, let me tell you how I get my guesstimation. Let me tell you some of my formula. Some of my formula. Some of it is just a feeling. But what I do is I look at who is the major influence in the game as a holistic. Who is the. I look at who the revenue is going to. A lot of revenue is flowing through. Maybe an individual or a team. New York Yankees and Bobby Bonilla. No, and P Rose. And what I do is uh, I just kind of look and see who won the last championship. Then I look at a pattern of not only who won the last championships, but who won it consistently. And then I try to see if that team is anywhere is still on top. Like how are they functioning? Then I go, okay. Then I look at the upstarts. I look at the draft and I say, okay, this person's coming in, they're getting paid this much money, they're going to be an influence on the game. People are already talking about them. You know what I'm saying? Lonzo Ball. People are already talking about them. A lot of hype. They're going to get some revenue in the game and outside of the game. And then I start saying these are one of the players who's going to be a player within the play. They're gonna the sport is going to use this person to um, to make more money simply because of who they are. Because of their star power. It's not going to be because they're a great player. It's going to be because everybody is focusing on them. So those are the kind of things I throw into the pot, and then I say, boom, this is what's going to happen. And I'm 2 out of 2 for now. 2 for 2. Uh, won't know until next year. But somebody also said, look, if you're right about next year, the next basketball season, and Cleveland wins, then your channel's gonna blow up. And I was like, yeah, I already know this. I thought about that. All right, my channel's gonna blow up. Then I start thinking, if I start doing this with all sports and I have a high rating, let's just say I have a 70% rating, then this is going to become a business. It's no longer going to become, it's no longer going to be just a guy sitting on his porch, even though I'm going to do it all just sitting on my porch. Uh, but nonetheless, it's going to be a business because my YouTube account is going to go up, and it already has. Uh, it's not to the point where I can pay my rent off of it, holistically, like boom, all of my rent, boom. Like, some people I know can do that. They've bought new cars, and I'm nowhere near that. I might get a bag of chips or something. But last year, uh, last season, when Cleveland lost, all the way up until the final game, my account started going click, 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 and I was like, oh, okay, so I can see how to make this more of a thriving business. Problem with that is I'm just not too interested in the business side of it because of the responsibility. However, the challenge to figure out who's going to win the World Series has been, line has been drawn in the sand by one of my most skeptic subscribers. I'm like, okay, Sanchez, I'm going to do it just for you, Broham. I'm not sure this is going to be every year. However, if I get it right, for one, you're going to come out of your mouth with a whole bunch of nonsense just to try to say why I was right and anybody could have done that. And then I'm going to be like, you know what? Then go tell anybody else to do it. And two, I know what you're going to do. You're going to be like, okay, well, who's going to win next year? Tell me now. Like you did in basketball. You know what I mean? Which is going to require more work. However, I do like the fact that you are you're a constant on my channel. You're you're an interesting individual, but you're a constant. You don't just come and go. You're interested in what I have to say, and you actually listen, and that is cool with me. So I'm gonna run down this quick list just to show you that I have started my investigation. You know, and then I'm gonna get into my gonna start running down some important names and who's doing what on whose team, and eventually I'll surmise who I think will win. If they don't win, it's like, okay, I never really watched baseball. Played it in Little League though. Had a mean arm, but couldn't hit and couldn't pitch. Okay, so here's what I did. I wrote down who won the World Series for the last 5 years. So I started at 2012, and it was San Francisco Giants, and they swept Detroit, 4-0. That's always a big thing to me when one team sweeps another one, you know, especially if they're in this lineup within the last 5 years and they've done something even close to that again, or they were close to being there. That makes me strongly consider them as an organization. Okay, 2013, it was Boston Red Sox, and they beat St. Louis Cardinals 4-2. So I'm looking at that like, okay, 4-2, boom, bam, all right. Then you got in 2014, the Giants beat the Royals. So uh, right now, the Giants have been there within the last San Francisco Giants and the Giants, yeah. What Giants is that? Is that New York? New York Mets, New York Giants? Huh, I need to find out what Giants that is. Okay. Giants beat the Royals. So if it's the same Giants from 2012, San Francisco Giants, which I'm not sure, then that I start leaning in that direction because they're obviously an organization that can stay on top. But I need to make clarity of that. And then 2015, it was the Royals again, but Royals beat to New York Mets. New York is going to always be at the top of my list because they have so much money. They concentrate a whole lot. Their pitching game and all that stuff. So if you got a mean pitching staff, then that's just that. Plus, if you got some killer hitters who just don't even give you a chance. As soon as they get up there, you know what I'm saying? As soon as they get up there, it's, out of the ballpark. They're breaking records like Babe Ruth and, Pete Rose and his betting. Is he going to get in the World Series? And then you have Aguirre and, and who's the other cat from New York, the one who just left? Forgot what his name was. A-Rod. I think it's A-Rod. And so I know a few names. A-Rod's out there. And okay, so 2015 was Kansas City Royals in New York. So I'm looking at Kansas City pretty strong because they've been there twice within the last 5 years. And they won once. So let's see. Giants beat the Royals. Okay. So if this, okay, and then I'm looking at 2016, we got the Chicago Cubs beat the Cleveland Indians. Now, when I saw Cleveland in 2016, that made me think of One for the Thumb in '81, back when Pittsburgh Steelers was winning big time, because at one time Pittsburgh Pirates won, the Penguins won, and the Steelers won all in the same year. And I'm not sure what year that was, 79, 80, something like that. But it was great for Pittsburgh because we had so much revenue coming in because of our sports, and I'm from Pittsburgh. So this is where I began. I'm just telling you guys some of my theories that I start looking at. Chicago Cubs, Cleveland Indians. It would be cool for Cleveland to go again and win, but I don't know how they're doing. So I need to look and see how who's doing. See who's even close to being in a running. Uh, they beat them 4-3, so it was close. Uh, New York and Kansas City are definitely at the top. And I heard a report and they said, look, it's Kansas City's. It's not Kansas City. They said it's what does they say? It's not Kansas City. Who was the? Man, I forgot. The team that Nolan Ryan used to play for. I used to admire Nolan Ryan because he was just a dynamite pitcher. He could throw the ball really, really hard, really fast. Uh, I liked Goose Gossage, you know what I'm saying, and the way he threw, with that side, you know, he had a nice breaking, curveball, without using spit or Vaseline or any of that, so I was in the Goose Gossage for a minute there. I was like, okay, Goose, do your thing. Uh, who else did I get into back in the day? Oh man, you can tell I ain't watching in a long time. Who was the pirate? Played Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, but that whole doping thing came out with Barry Bonds, Mark Aguirre, and so that just kind of crapped all over it. It's like, dang, Barry, you represent Pittsburgh, and you're gonna go out like that. But so that's back when I was checking it out a little bit, or just checking out, just seeing who was doing what. And I don't know who's won the Cy Young Award within the last, I don't know how long. But yeah, so there's just some research I've been doing, not much, but and just now I'll go into these teams and kind of see who's doing what, who's at the top of the pile, what players they have, and from that, it'll pyramid into a decision. It'll pyramid into a decision of two, and that will also tell me who's going to win or who's going to be, in the playoffs next year and who's going to win the playoffs. And once I get this information, I can pretty much guesstimate about 3 or 4 years out because it's a pattern. And if you start following the pattern, the financial pattern, you know, it's it'll stay the same, and it's not that the teams will stay the same, but the pattern does. And if you follow the pattern, you can pretty much see who's going to do what, and then boom, it's just not a surprise. You can even get it down to what man is going to do what. Who's going to go out there and strike out. Who's going to go out there and move on and break a bat. And then find out that he was using cork bats. You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna, when you start looking at players who can barely run but they can hit, you start getting skeptical of them. You're like, this guy can barely make it around the bases. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the guys who do nothing but, get around those bases. Who was the one guy who was so fast? You always had a picture of him with his cleats on fire because he would steal so many bases. Forgot his name. One of you guys know. But so I start looking at that, and I start looking at the players within each team and who's hurt, And I start saying, okay, well, this guy's at the top of the pile. This is his team. His team's in the playoffs. Yada, yada, yada. It's your boy Tone 202, man. God loves you. Be safe.